everyone! So remember how before we left for the Grand Garden Show, I posted a video about how I keep my garden alive while we're out of town? Well, I should have retitled it, How I Keep Most of My Garden Alive, because some of the things have not survived. Now I will say this wasn't really anything I could have planned for. Basically what happened is we left, I think 2 days later, there were some really strong winds, which for how strong they were in some other photos I'd seen from people in the area, I'm actually surprised. Like a lot of my tall flowers are still standing. But what happened is my pots with herbs, which are the most lightweight and the ones that are kind of up higher on the stand, got knocked over. And when they got knocked over, the drip fell out of them. So the person that was coming over to water the garden, that was just watering a section without drip, they did put the plants back up, but the drip had fallen out. So when the drip was running, those plants were not getting watered. So I think it was about 3 or 4 days of absolutely no water. We didn't get any rain during that time after the storm. So here's what happened. I came back last night and the first thing I do is run upstairs and check on my garden. I think we got back in around like 8:30, so it was dark and I could tell things didn't look right. But I kind of fixed what I could fix in the moment, and then I decided I won't go back out until I have morning light and I take you with me. So now we're gonna go back and actually assess kind of everything and see how it's doing, what is actually dead, what looks like it might be coming back, and then just kind of see how everything's looking overall. So let's go out into the garden. So let's go ahead and head outside. And I think you'll be able to see the first issue I came home to, which is budworms are back. So I was gone for just a few days and the budworms decided to take advantage of that and once again eat my super petunias. So last night I did spend a little time trying to spot them and then removing any that I saw, and I even see another one right now. Can you see that in there? So by removing, I basically mean taking out the flower bud and throwing it in a garbage bag. So the plan then now will be to give them a bloom boosting fertilizer today. I've done this once or twice before already, and they seem to flush back in a few days, even when they are this far gone. So that is my plan for dealing with this. I see a little bit more of the poop there, but I think I got this one last night. Now I do have more super petunias back there. Those don't seem to be touched, so a little bit thankful for that. I don't have to treat all of them. I also wanted to show off that my pea trellis is blooming. So I left and the buds were kind of like this, a little bit larger. I was afraid I might completely miss the blooms, but look at that. Look how absolutely beautiful that looks. So I think I'm definitely going to do something like this again next year. But anyway, let's move away from the things that look good and back to the things that don't look great, which includes some of the dahlias here. So again, strong winds. Actually, let's start over here. I think the cafe au lait got hit the hardest. It wasn't the tallest when I left, but it seems like it might have become the tallest of my dahlias, and it was definitely wind blown. One of the branches broke off completely. There were 2 blooms on that, so those are sitting in a vase. I'm going to do a little bit of pruning on this one. And then Michaela Miranda is just sitting, let me back up a bit, a little bit lopsided as well. So kind of growing that way. For some reason, the Autos Thrill on both this side and this side looks fantastic. That's been my best performing dahlia this year. It, for some reason, didn't get blown over. I'm absolutely loving it. And then we have the Thomas A. Edison, which this one wasn't completely windswept, but you can see from about here down, all of the leaves are brown and dead. I don't know why. I'm assuming this is something that's more like some sort of disease issue than a watering issue, since all the dahlias have been getting the same amount of water consistently as each other, but also as they have been throughout the season. So I'll remove those leaves. I'm thinking I might pull this whole dahlia right here. We will see. I'm not going to make that decision yet, but I am going to go ahead and give a little fertilizer boost to all of them. But I mean, for the most part, except for the Otto's Thrill, they all look pretty green and healthy, so I don't know what is going on with that one. So if you have any idea of what kills kind of the leaves from the bottom up on a dahlia, let me know. Another issue that I'm not sure what is the cause is that half of my morning glory, which again was beautiful and green when I left just a few days ago, but now half of it, either the leaves are brown and dead and dry, or they are getting there, but they are currently yellow with green spots. This, similar to the dahlias, has been getting regular watering, the same amount of water that it's had. It's been in the same position, so no changes in light or anything like that. So if you know what causes this, let me know down below as well. This one I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do to treat it. Because about half of it is what's looking bad, I'm almost wondering if one of these two plants has an issue. So I have two actual morning glory in here, two different plants. This one, the stem always remained much thinner. This one got a lot thicker, as you can see there. I mentioned this before, but I definitely need a larger pot for this next year. But this one, the one that's thinner, the leaves, at least that I can follow, look a lot greener, whereas the one that's thicker, which I would assume was healthier, this is the one where the leaves are yellowing. So I think I'm going to go through and probably just remove some of the leaves, but again, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do to treat it. So if you've seen this issue before, you know what it is, please let me know. I also wanted to show off that it's just going crazy over here. So a bunch of new branches are kind of floating off over here, so I'll probably give those a trim. Ooh, but I think I did see we have some flowers starting to form, so that's exciting. And if I go back here, you know, maybe it is a sun issue because most of the leaves that are yellowing are underneath the green canopy. I don't know, let me know. But if I stand back here, I mean, it looks, other than the crazy vines, looks pretty good. You wouldn't know that about half the leaves are yellow and brown underneath there. Now onto my herbs, my poor herb rock, well, half of it. So everything on the ground, except for that thyme, which I'll show you in just a little bit, but everything else on the ground, really green, really beautiful, continued to be watered and hooked up to the drip system. What happened up on the top here is that we had a pretty bad windstorm, like I mentioned. So these four, and then the thyme that I moved down here, pots got knocked over. And the person who was watering the plants over here, our cat sitters did pick them up, but I think when they got knocked over, well, I know when they got knocked over that the drip system got knocked out. So if you can see right in there, basically the black stake stayed in the pot, but the beige drip tube fell out. So this plant, this plant, this plant, and this time we're not getting watered. And I think it happened about 3 or 4 days before we left. So basically that's how long these plants were going without water. And when I came back last night, I mean, these three looked absolutely terrible. So I gave them a good drink of water, decided I would see how it looks when I woke up this morning. And, well, I know the pineapple sage is dead. As you can see, this is not a plant that is coming back to life, but I think I can save, like I'll just harvest the rest of these leaves and then keep them to make teas. Actually, let me give them a sniff. I mean, they still smell pretty good. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or not to harvest leaves off of an herb plant that died from drying out in the pot. But if I was just going to harvest them and dry them hanging inside anyways, maybe it's the same. I don't know. Let me know if you know, but I think I'm going to harvest these and save them anyway, just in case. Lemon balm here, I mean, this bounced back to pretty much its original, as a leaf falls off, but its original shape. However, the leaves do not look great. They actually, I feel like, look a little bit better on camera than I'm looking at them, but they're much more yellow. There's many more with these brown spots. So we'll see kind of how that one does, but I'm going to leave it, you know, growing as it is right now. And then my lemongrass here, kind of similar. So the shape of it came back. It was much more droopy, but a lot of the leaves are yellowy now. So I might just go ahead and pull maybe just the yellow leaves off and see how the rest of the plant does. This one did get knocked over, but the drip stayed in, so it looked good. Although I have a bunch of flowers appearing, because that's what happens when you aren't regularly. I mean, I wasn't staying on top of it before we left, and then obviously as I left, we have a lot more blooms here. The thyme down here, again, this one was not hooked up to the drip either. This though looks like pretty good. I mean, it still looks green. The shape has kind of come back, although it's a little bent from the wind. But what I think I'm gonna do is I'll probably give these all a little bit of fertilizer, at least the ones up here. I'll see if that helps to green up the lemon balm. I'm definitely gonna pull the pineapple sage, cut the leaves off of some of the lemongrass, and then we'll see how it does. But I have learned now that if I'm going out of town, to put these smaller containers onto the ground, just in case the wind decides to knock them over. Because again, look how great these look. Beautiful. All of these over here were not hooked up to drip, so I just watered them before I left and came back, and they all look good. So basically everything from the rose over here. I mean, the hydrangeas look sad for external reasons. They looked sad before we left, but all of these did well with one watering over the course of 5 to 6 days. Everything over here looks good, so the drip ran perfectly for these. Back to the sad petunias here. I keep seeing more caterpillar poop, but I don't know if it's ones that I already pulled off yesterday. So I guess that's what I'm going to spend a little bit of my time doing today as well. I can see some more right there. The other plant that just kind of looked a bit sad was this rhubarb. So I think this one just got hit with the wind. I mean, there's still some beautiful green leaves on it, but if I turn it around, one, a lot of the leaves are more pushed down than they were before. So this one definitely got hit, like I said, with the wind a little bit harder, and then I have more leaves that are dying. So not sure if that's from the wind issue or what, but I'm just gonna pull the dead leaves off of it, and that's my plan for the rhubarb. Again, I'll probably I think I'm gonna fertilize everything in the garden because it's just about time for that again. I have a second rhubarb back there that had a bit more protection, so that one still looks great. No yellowing leaves, and still the same kind of shape that it was before I left. Dahlia here, there's a little bit of this one that's kind of bent over of my Otto's Thrill, but again, that one just looks still completely beautiful. I can't believe how well Otto's Thrill has done this year. So that is basically how the garden looks right now, what survived and what died. It's always sad when you see your plants die, especially if you think, you know, if I had been home, they would have had at least a few more weeks of life in them. But the garden itself still looks pretty good, and it could have been a lot worse. Again, with the winds that we got, I'm just looking at the tall flowers right now, I'm still shocked that they're standing. So I'm grateful for what's there, hoping the petunias bounce back from the budworms. I'll pull anything that is definitely dead, and then we'll just continue on for the rest of the season. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.